this session, that is define the change. So properly you need to define a change, then select the change management team. This is also the important how to implement the change management. Already we say that why there is need of change management. When we talk about the change management, it doesn't mean that you are changing the higher authority, okay, or you are changing the whole management if it is a private firm. No, if it is a private firm, then there is a body that is called a board of director. Okay, so this board of directors, it might be changed time to time, depend on the how the efficiency and the performance of that team. On that one, definitely it will be a work. Fine. So here, when we want to change, it is just because to achieve something greater than the previous one. That is the one thing. Second thing is that yeah, sometimes you may face some losses in the business, and you need to modify your model. So that is possible by changing the team. It is possible by changing the team. If you change the team, definitely it will be the workful for you. So many times what happened, the team which is work from the last few years, it may have not that much collaboration, the cooperation between their team. There might be some disputes, or maybe they are not thinking some innovative way, and that's why it will be failure. So we need to do the changes. Okay, so but need to define properly why we need to do the change. This is very important. It may be that just because it is not achievable because of the losses, that is the one thing, or you want to do something again more than that one. That time we need to do a change, define the change, select the change management team. So here it is very important first to do the change in the team. It may be the 2 people, it may be the 10 people, whatever it is, but yes, it is need to change it. Then identify the management sponsorship and secure the commitment. Now when you are doing that type, okay, just like if you are a manager, the project manager, and you want to change your team, now you need to do the changes and you define properly, yes, this is the reason that I want to change my team. Now this is once you identify this one by the management sponsorship and secure commitment. So when you're doing this one, that means the higher authority or the management team to be know that yes, these are the changes are good going on, and it will be the benefit in future. So that's why we are doing that one. Develop implementation plan including the metrics. So here you need to do the implementation, develop, implement the plan. Planning is very important. What the plan is with you. So when you are doing a change in the management, then what is your plan? How you implement the things? The things which he is not able to achieve by the first team, is it possible to achieve by the second team? If it is yes, then what is your plan from the previous one? Then implement the change in the stages. Well, then you have to do the yes, you need to implement it the changes in the stages, because you are not drastically change each and everything. You need to do a change by step, so that it will not harming the previous system. And also, just because of the big change, it will be damaging the things. Maybe you may not get that much time, or you have a lot of time required to change, and in between that whole process gets stuck up. Just like when you are to modify the plant, you are not stop all the processes. So what you do, you do the changes one by one, one by one. Okay, so that it will not harming the process, and it will give the achieve. We can achieve the target what we will fix. Collect and analyze the data. This is also the important. When you are planning that time, you need to do the data. On that data basis, you say yes, we want these changes. Okay, so the analysis, collecting and the analysis of the data is very important in the while implementing or implement in the change management. Quantify the gaps and the understand the resistances. Now it is not easy to do the changes. Okay, even in our life, but when we want to do a change in ourselves, though we know it is harming to our body, it is harming to our uh, the the other things, but till we are not accept to do a change. Just like many people may not be wake up early in morning. Okay, so they know that it is very big to do this change, but they are unable to do this. Okay, there is certain resistances by ourselves. The same thing, if you want to do a changes in your home, or you want to do a changes in your team, it will be very difficult, because there are the certain papers, there are the certain things which are resisting you. Okay, so here you need to first find out the gaps. and then understand what are the resistances are there and how I can cope up the resistances, how I can remove that part. Modify the plan as needed. Now we are not always stick with the single plan. Many times when we think it may not be implemented as it is. So that time we need to do some certain checks, and that is to do needed to continuously modify that the plan, or we can say it is updation is very important. Okay. So we do the updation every day so that we can modify and successfully we can just run that or we have to implement that part. So there are the three types of the organizational change. Okay, the three types of the organizational change. So the first change, it is the transitional change. Okay. So what are the changes in it? We basically we divide it in a three parts: transitional change, developmental change, and transformational change. Okay. So there are the three types of the organizational change. What are that? Transitional, developmental, and transformation. Okay. So let's first see what is meant by transitional change. So here, the transitional change. You see that this one picture, okay? So this is very good. The image which we show what do you mean by transitional change. Okay. So let's see what is meant by transitional change. These are the changes performed by the project manager or by high level officials. Okay. So when we talk about transitional change, it is done by the project manager, or it may have to by the high level official to steer the company away from one direction into the another, to make sure that the problem that the company is facing is solved. It means when we choose us one path for achieving the goal, and in between they found out that it is not possible to do this way, we need to do make a new direction, and for that one they are doing a work by changing the direction of the planning, changing the direction of the implementation of the process, and that is called a transitional change. It means for example in a businesses many times what happen or we call in the processes, whatever we plan and implement the things may not be achieved. We use the a path, and from that path one we are say that the service sector will be increased or we get the benefit from that plan, but many times it will not happen. So we are not stick with that one. Once we got the things that is it is not possible in this the direction. Okay, so if they are going in this direction, they are not say that it is not achievable, so they change the direction of it. Means they do the changes in the planning, and then they implement accordingly, because in the one direction they are fail, so they will choose another one, and that is called transitional change. Change the direction. Okay, so to solve the problem, just like many times even when you are solving the numericals or numericals, that time you are not using stuck up with the single method, you may go the different method. If you are not able to solve the problem from top to bottom, many times you go from the reverse test, bottom to top, because you know the answer and you go a reverse direction, because in a the forward direction you will not get an answer. And for that one, what you do, you do the transitional change. Means you do the direction, you change the direction of thinking, and then you achieve that part. Second is developmental change. Now what is meant by developmental change? Any changes that are made in the company. Okay, so the examples are mentioned, these includes it is a mergers, automations, and acquisition. Okay, so this is from this way we can do a transitional change. What? Mergers, automation, and acquisition. Now, there are the three types of the organizational change. From that second one, it is the developmental change. Now, what is developmental change? Any changes that are made in the company policies or in the project development process to make sure that already established process be optimized and improved. So that is what we call the developmental changes. Means if there is a process industry, you are working as a manager there, production manager, and you found that the method which we are used is the conventional one, and you will not get, you will not achieve the target. You will not achieve the target, whatever the target that you set to your company, because the sale is good, but just because of the less production, we will not work out on it. So what they do the changes in the technology. So they what they do, whatever is the process which is there, they try to optimize and improve. Okay, so that you can achieve the goal. So that is called the developmental changes. So here we can change or optimize the things so that we can or improvise the process so that we can achieve our target. And the last part of is a transformational change. You see this picture, transformational change. Now you maybe see that the fish which is in this pot, it will be they just jump to the larger one. So that is what transformational. So these changes are most impactful as they change the fundamental concept on which the company is based, and also operation and the core values that company holds dear. It means when we do the transformational change, that time the basic things is as it is. We are not change the basic things, but we just do some simple changes in our company so that in this sector we can be achieve the part. Okay, so that is we call the transformational change. For example, if you look the Titan is very good know about the watches and all. So when they are manufacturing the watches, initial days when it is 1990 or 1980, they have the key, and on that the key basis dial. They just have they fabricate the dial and they just sell that watches into the market. But after that one, they got the sale, and now the watch it is on the sale. Okay, the battery. Now there is again the changes are occur, so they have used the different type of the watches, different designing. Nowadays, you know that it is a smart watches. Now this company, if they are stuck up with the only for the manufacturing of the key, the manufacturing of the watches on the basis of the key, then it will not successful in this era, because nowadays we are using the smart watches. We are not using the conventional one, which is run on the sale or on the keys. Okay, so if they do the changes, then this is what transformational. Their values are same, the core values are same, their operations are same, only they are modified themselves. Same thing happened with the cameras. You know that before the say 20 years ago, 20 years back, you may found there is a one film, and the Kodak camera is there, and we have to just put the that okay, that film into the camera, and we will capture that photo and then develop it. But then the technology get changed, and you can easily now just because of the digitalization, you may get capture the photos directly without that film, and there is no need to do the development and all. So whatever the camera which is produced by that Kodak company, it get failure just because of in a certain days, just because they are not transform themselves. Okay, so there are the n number of businesses you might be found where they need to do a transformation. If they do the transformation, they will success. If they don't, they will failure. Just like I don't know how many of you know the HFD watches. Okay, there is a big company I think in South India, the HMT, and they are specially manufacturing the watches, but they are not transformed themselves from the key watch to the smart watch, and ultimately they fail their businesses, and they close up or they pack up their whole plant just because they are not transforming. So here in the organizational change, it is very important to do a transformational change. So basic the values and all things to be there, but only with respect to the market values they are doing their businesses accordingly. Okay, so these are the some organizational changes we talk discuss. That is the one, it is the transitional, developmental, and the transformational change. Okay, so there are the 7 R's of change the management. So checklist is there. Okay, so what are the 7 R's of change management? Okay, there are the number of R's in the management system. Okay, 3 R's, you might be heard about 3 R's. So here is the 7 R's which is related to the change management. What are the question? The question is reason behind the change. What is the reason behind the change? Then second is risk involved in the requested change. Resources required to deliver the change. Who raised the change request? Return required from the change. Okay, when we ask the question that when we want to do a change, then there are the 7 R's. What are that? Reason behind first, Risk involved in the requirement change. When we do the change, what is the risk? Then look at what are the resources is needed for doing that changes. Then who raised the change request? Now who is the person who is raised the change request? Does it a manager? Does it the officer? Who is that person to change request? Then return required from the change, what you get from it, benefit, returns from the once you do the changes. And the last two questions are, who is responsible for creating, testing, and implementing the change? Now, who is the person, who is the officer, who is the responsible for that creating, testing, and implementation of the change? Okay. And the last questions to be asked in terms of this 7R is relationship between the suggested change and the other changes. What is the relationship between the first, that is the conventional method which we use, or the previous one, and the new one? Okay, so these 7 hours of change management checklist, that is the 7 simple questions to be asked related to the 7 hours, and we can call it is a reason, risk, resources, race, return, then the responsible, and the relationship. Okay, the next topic from this module, it is a project execution plan. So up till we look out what is meant by change, why there is need of the change management, what are the different type of change management, and there are the 7 R's of the change management.